Welcome to Miles from Ordinary with me, Bex Milnes.
And me, just lay a month.
How are we? We're another week on, although a bit of a later week on this week, aren't we? We're recording back end of the week, where we normally like to get ahead of the game, start front end, but we're back. We're back end. There's a lot going on.
I know there is a lot going on, and it was actually you that was away.
It was.
You've been on your jollies, so we've moved it to later in the week. As we said, nobody will care, but anyway. But yeah, very busy in my life. I feel so busy. I feel busy and that I've not got my head screwed on, and I think it's showing in a few areas, but but we won't discuss that. But yeah, we're firmly on, not officially on, but nearly officially on for moving, which will be nearly pretty much a week's time. So it's all hands on deck, and it's difficult because you think you're moving, but it's still not confirmed. So it probably won't still be confirmed till like Tuesday next week. So it's hard to get things sorted. So like you're booking removal companies and stuff, but because we're ringing late, we rang around about 3, and John was like, they're all fully booked. I'm like, you're joking, aren't you? You just don't imagine that people would be booked, and they were like, yeah, it's summer, everyone's moving, school holidays, people are renting. I thought, oh no. Anyway, we've booked one today, so we are going to have help. Not help in because some of them they pack for you, which is pretty good in it. But do you know when I just think, no, it's just weird that because you wouldn't know where anything is. I know they take it the other end and unpack it, but it's just bizarre to me that, don't you think? Just going through all your drawers and chucking stuff in. It was just really weird.
Yeah, I would definitely be like packing my own stuff. And to be fair, whenever I've moved house, I've just like lobbed it in a van and away you go.
There's none of that going on. We've got a lot of stuff, although we have got rid of loads. But it's not even that. It's like all garden furniture and just loads of stuff. But I've said to John a million times, it feels like we're downsizing because we've got that much stuff. We're like having to get rid of it. But it's mainly the garage, because the garage is the new thing to half your garage and get rid of it. It's just every house that we looked at had done that and just like created a playroom or something.
I don't know how, as a triathlete, you're going to get away with half a garage. I feel like
we're not unbelievable. Basically. I know. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna. We're gonna have to buy a massive shed. I don't know, but anyway, that's something to sort out later. So I've been on with that. A lot going on with the athletes because obviously it's race season and all. Had a few races at T100 London and some coming up this weekend. And been doing bits with you, which we will reveal at some point. So you're causing me problems as well. But we did fit in a trip to the cinema actually for the first time for Fred. And we went to
his first cinema trip.
Yeah, because he's obsessed with Toy Story, so I thought I'd better go see Toy Story. And there's like a little cinema in Wetherby. It's really small, honestly. There's only about 2 rooms. They're not called rooms, called show theatres.
Theatres, yeah.
Yeah, and I reckon there's about 12 people, maybe. Not much, really small, massive chairs, right small. So anyway, we went. It were a nightmare. Not again. 2-year-old going to the cinema, nightmare. He'd not had a nap because the timings of the viewing were like nap time. So it was just a disaster. And you know when you just watch the TV, you just kept like saying stuff and can I have this? I need a wee, I need a drink, I need to do that. I was just like, this is torture. I think it went on for like an hour 45 or something. I thought, never again. So that was not good. So anyone that's got a 2-year-old, unless they might be a bit better than Fred, but just the attention. I think as well, he want that into the film. It was all right. It wasn't like 1 or 2. So it's worse.
Has he seen the other films?
Yeah. He's quite engaged in the first 2. And like, if it was Sean the sheep, he'd be fine because he's well engaged. But because he won, I'm just thinking, oh God. Because it was all about iPads affecting kids now, and they're all on iPads and not playing with toys. So it's hard. I suppose he won't know what's going on for most of it because he didn't really have an iPad either, so he wouldn't even know what that is. So it were a bit, I think, anyway. So that's been my week. Nothing exciting. Just a lot of packing, a lot of stress. And the baby is growing, getting bigger, and annoying my ribs. I can't wait for it to drop though, because I'm at the point where it's your uterus is at the highest, so it means the baby's higher. So then it's pressing on my diaphragm or ribs constantly, so it's really uncomfortable. But eventually, soon it'll start to drop and go.
Well, I was going to say, when does that happen?
I'm thinking around 34 weeks.
Okay.
So next week the head will be going down and it'll be relieve me a bit. You're meant to be able to feel like you can breathe better and stuff. Because I was sending a voice note to Vicky Holland the other day, just walking back from nursery. I couldn't even breathe. I was like, I'm really sorry, but I am literally just walking. I don't know what's wrong with me. Got like pigeon lungs. And then we did a video for whatever, and oh my God, Bex, you watched the video, and I felt like putting a disclaimer on it saying apologies because I don't know why I'm so out of breath. I'm literally talking and it's like I can't breathe, like I've just come in from a run and I'm trying to explain something. I don't know if you've noticed, but anyway, I'm looking forward to having full lungs.
Yeah, it was kind of like altitude training, but I wonder is there like a red blood cell benefit to pregnancy, or is it just
oh yeah, it's absolutely off my tits me with red blood cells. Yeah, I think you are right. You do, don't you? That's what happens, and then some people keep it for longer after pregnancy as well once they've gave birth. So some athletes can perform really well because of that, but eventually it does go back to normal. Yeah, that's why I think I got drugs tested all the time, around pregnancy, because they were like, whoa. That's what I'm hoping anyway. I'm just hoping my blood cells were just going, but I don't think that's the case. But anyway, what have you been up to? Let's tell us about your holiday.
Yeah, I was off gallivanting in the Pyrenees in France. I was over there for a race that a friend of mine was doing, Duncan Shea Simmons, who's like a veteran age group athlete of the sport. He has been of the speedo era back in the 80s, and he's still racing now. Like, he's seen it all. Wow. And he's a fantastic athlete, but he started doing more recently the X-Tri series, which I didn't really know much about until he started racing it. But they do Celtman and Norseman and races like that, and they've kind of expanded year upon year. And so there was a flagship race that had never been done in Lourdes in the Pyrenees. And I don't know much about Lourdes as a town or that area. I've been to Andorra skiing, but I've never really been to the Pyrenees. So we kind of landed, and I hadn't quite appreciated that Lourdes is an endurance capital, in that there's loads of people trekking and walking and stuff because you're on the foot of the Pyrenees. It's also a big religious venue for Catholics, I believe. So the kind of history of the town is a woman in the town saw the Virgin Mary, and then they've built like these massive, I don't know, churches, religious buildings. Right. And people come in their thousands to view it. So I went out for a run when I got there, and I was like, I felt like I was in the Vatican or something. I was like, what is going on? I got chased by a security guard for running through a sacred place, so I had to like walk. So I'm gonna burst into flames if I'm not careful.
But they're all like, she's come to see him and she's sweaty. It's disgusting. Oh,
So yeah,
right.
it was very random but beautiful. So I did a bit of exploring before the race, but then the race, my God, Jess, it is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's mental. So they were basically covering the distance of an Ironman, but imagine just extreme in every discipline. So the swim started at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's pitch black, and they put like these lights on the top of the buoys, so in theory you could see where you're going. And then they give you a glow stick to put in a tow float so they can see you, and you're just swimming in pitch black at 3 a.m. And
No.
then it's like the weirdest experience because as a crew member, obviously you're getting up at that time, but you don't really have the adrenaline of racing. So then
Yeah.
you've kind of got up, you've got to the race venue, like Dunk's away swimming, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm actually quite tired here.
Yeah.
And then you've got to support all day.
Oh,
You got to be on
God.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they were out of the water for 4 a.m. and onto the bike course. So the first few hours of the bike course, it's like pitch black, and you're kind of crewing and giving
Did they
fluid.
have lights on the bike? I presume they did.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So they like made sure they all had lights. That's
yeah,
really odd. And was it still
yeah,
hot?
yeah. Really
Yeah,
hot.
really hot.
Yeah, like the day before the race was 39 degrees.
Yeah.
And then actually the day of the race, the temperature dropped, and it's typical kind of mountain weather because it dropped by 10 degrees. So actually to race in, it was really nice conditions. But then when you were up in the mountains, it started raining and hailing. There were just rivers of water coming down the bike course. At one point, it was just ridiculous. I was like, how are they riding up this? It just changed completely. So
Really?
yeah, they were 100k in the mount. Like the whole bike was 180k, but 100k of that ride was virtually going up a mountain, down it, up another one, up, down it, up. It was just ridiculous. The elevation was insane. Um, and then they got off the bike to be told that the run section, effectively like you ran half the marathon along what they said was flat, but it wasn't flat, off road, to get to the base of a mountain called the Pic de Midi, which I think I believe is the highest point in the local area. Anyway, it's like 3,000 meters above altitude. So the plan was to run up it, but because the weather was so bad, it got called off, and they ended up not going up the Pic de Midi. But even so, the rescheduled route was pretty savage. It's just ridiculous as a race. It's unbelievable.
Did he enjoy it?
Yeah, I think in a
Did
weird
he?
way. Yeah, it was. I think he was a bit gutted, obviously, to not be able to do the full course because that's what you train for. But at the same time, it would have been another 4 hours on top of
Would
an
it?
already day. Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
actually, the day after the race, I went up the Peak de Midi because it was back to being sunshine again. And my God, it's no joke. Like you are climbing a mountain. It's so at the top. The altitude was, you couldn't breathe. It's like your lungs at the moment. It was,
Really?
yeah,
That is
yeah.
extreme.
So
How many people were doing it?
I think it was 300.
What was it?
So
That's a lot.
yeah,
And
yeah.
to organise an event like that must be quite stressful. Because I mean, come on, doing an Ironman's bad enough with worrying about people drowning.
No.
Never mind doing all that. You just be the race organiser. They must be slightly tapped themselves.
Yeah, you would think that, but I don't know whether it's the French way or what. They were very relaxed about things in
Well, maybe
retrospect.
that's true. That's probably what you
Yeah,
need. Yeah, just
yeah.
they'll be
Just sign
fine.
this waiver and away you go. Don't do anything
Yeah,
stupid, kind of thing.
yeah.
I went exploring a few times, and I wasn't on anything remotely tricky or challenging for an experienced person. And I was very much in the safety of, I had a tracker, like Duncan Clare knew where I was. I knew where I was, all those things. I can't stop catastrophizing in my head. Like, what if an avalanche happens here? What if
Yeah.
this, like I'm going through some rock gardens and things like that. And you're like, what if I put my foot on this and it all just goes and I'm swept away with it. And I
Yeah.
just think, how do people have the courage to just get comfortable in those environments? Because yeah, anything can
Well,
happen.
we always speak to a lot of them, don't we? But I always think that about that doctor. Remember, he just went walking back from Greece or whatever, and he obviously didn't time it, got lost or something, got heat stroke and died.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
what? Just got to live a really sheltered life, and we'll all be fine.
We'll all be safe.
Wait, have you been watching the Commonwealths? Because you got to
Do you
pay
know
for it,
what?
it's TNT.
I've been following vicariously through social media because I hadn't. It's a great shame that it's not on the BBC. I can't understand why they wouldn't even have it on the red button.
Yeah.
But yes, I haven't really watched any of it. It's dare I say, it's kind of passing me by a little bit. Obviously, I see
It
stuff on
will do,
socials, but
yeah.
I've not seen it. Yeah, have
It
you?
will. We've watched it quite because we got TNT, so we just put it on. It's a bit like the Olympics; you just have it on a night, and I mean the coverage. Oh my god, I'm not even going to talk about it because I would be terrible at it, but it's just not great. It's so bad, actually. But actually, it's that bad. It's quite entertaining. So then you watch it, and you're watching it because it's quite bad, but also, yeah, entertaining. But yeah, I've watched quite a bit. Swimming's finished now. Obviously, you'd seen Peter. You must have seen videos of him.
That has been occupying my social media for quite some time, and I think it's definitely got some airtime, hasn't it, for his
What's your
comments.
opinion? So at first when he got bronze and he did the interview after,
Mm.
what's your opinion on the interview? Did you watch it?
I watched this interview. I didn't watch the race. I think obviously he's emotional about it and expected more, but I think it's quite disrespectful to your competitors to. Oh, Poppy
Hi,
agrees.
Poppy.
It's quite disrespectful to your competitors to be like, effectively, I deserve to beat you. I just didn't.
I couldn't believe it, me. I'm watching it just going, you are joking. This is horrendous. And I totally get that he's emotional, but to say that afterwards and not even give any sort of no congratulations to any of his competitors, not even discuss them, just basically say I train hard. And that's one thing that gets me really annoyed is when athletes say I train the hardest or I'm the hardest trainer in the world. You're like, well, that is the most ridiculous thing to say because you have no idea how people train.
Yeah.
And he's just so disrespectful. I couldn't. No, I was not impressed at all. I just thought that is. I don't care who you are or what you've done. You can't go around saying that you deserve to do better and just me. And I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it at all. No.
I wonder whether it's one of those moments where he'll look back in time and go, "Oh, that wasn't my finest moment," or whether he'll look back and feel justified in voicing that opinion. Yeah, either
I've
way, it's
got.
quite polarizing.
Yeah, and I don't like to be negative because we all say stupid stuff, and I get reminded about T100 constantly, and it's not very nice, is it, to get negative press and to say something you think, well, I didn't really mean that, but I don't know how he would defend that much, really. I can understand he's emotional, and it's great that you can see all emotions, but at the same time, he still needed to, I think about other people and not. And he trained, and he got third. That's it. Like you weren't good enough no matter what. That happened. It's factual. You came third. There's nothing you do about it. You might have made mistakes, but so do other people constantly. And
Yeah,
people race all the time, and they train way better, and they race, and it don't go to plan. That is sport, and
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
happens to athletes regularly. and it's as if it's never happened to him before.
Mm,
And I just thought it's really bad way of, so if there's a youngsters growing up viewing that, thinking that they'll always expect to have the best races of their life and they'll always expect to win it.
mm,
And I don't know, it just seems a bit of a deluded way of looking at racing,
mm.
in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
think it's a fair point. I think it's a fair point. And yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because in many respects, when you look back on his career, he hasn't really lost. And that maybe that's
No, true. Yeah.
his greatest, is his greatest achievement, but also greatest failing at the same time. But yeah, a little bit of humility wouldn't have gone amiss in that situation, I would say.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I haven't really raced since Paris. Well, that's not our problem. That might be the reason, but that is, do you know, it's just like excuses, just be, anyway. So I think I'm going too deep into it, but it just didn't come across that well for me if it was me as an athlete thinking as an athlete. But that's maybe why I
Mm,
never win anything. Like Fred at the minute, he's doing my head in, because you'll go upstairs, and even if I go upstairs like 10 minutes before him and he comes up and he's like, "You won, you beat me," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You won the race," and he literally has a meltdown about it. I'm like, "It wasn't even a race." So he's really getting competitive. It's ridiculous. He's like throwing tantrums when he don't win, running upstairs and stuff. And John's like, "Fred, your mummy made a career out of not winning, so don't be down about it." I was like, "Freddie fired for a tantrum every time I didn't win. My lord." So yeah, maybe that's why I've got a different perspective, because I'm
it's
used to
better
it.
not to win.
He don't think so at the minute. Absolutely fuming about it.
That's
But
hilarious. Where's
otherwise,
he get that from?
I don't know. It's so random. It's just come out of nowhere in the last week. So bizarre. Honestly, I don't know how to deal with it because it's laughable. You just want to laugh at him and just go, "You are the most ridiculous person ever. What are you doing?"
Maybe maybe he's been watching too many PT interviews. That's the issue.
Yeah, maybe it is. That's what has happened. He's taking too much. See what I mean about the youngsters coming up, ruining their lives. But
Uh,
otherwise, there's been, what else has there been on? There's athletics has started, hasn't it?
yeah.
There's been quite a few good performances. I like watching athletics. I can't believe how cold it is in Glasgow. Can you?
I was watching the 100-meter final, and I couldn't quite believe that the stands were as empty as they were for a men's 100-meter final. That's pretty unheard of. But then when I saw the weather, I was like, that's kind of understandable
Yeah,
because
because it was
it
chucking
was
it down. Yeah.
baking down here and it was chucking it down up there. I thought that's having lived 5 years in Scotland, that does not surprise me.
No,
That's very
but
typical.
you can see it every time they show the weather. It's just literally like a big cloud that just travels and it only hits Scotland. I spoke to one of my athletes and she's from Scotland. And she was like, "We've had hardly any of the heat that you've had." She was like, I feel
Yeah.
like putting the heating on. I just thought, God, it's
But can you
bizarre, isn't
imagine
it?
being an athlete at the Commonwealth Games though? You've gone from Brisbane, Australia to Glasgow, Scotland as
Yeah.
your venue. Like it's
Yeah,
quite the
but let's
departure, isn't
face
it?
it, we have to do opposite every time. Us poor buggers in England, usually. But I just can't get over this heat wave.
Yeah.
It's
It's the wildfires that are I was having this conversation the other day of, how so many films have been made about climate change and the extreme weather and like Day After Tomorrow is an example where there's like massive floods and all the rest of it. And you watch those films and go, God, yeah, imagine if that happened, that'd be scary. And yes, we're not like at those extremes, but actually when you look at the news and follow it, it is a bit like, oh right, this is happening now. This
yeah.
is real.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah,
Bordeaux, it's been terrible, hasn't it, in France, and they're not prepared for it. They've been getting helicopters and I don't know, equipment off other nations because they're not used to it. That's going to be us in a few years. We're going to be the same.
yeah.
We're going to just be in the same situation because we're not prepared for it. But it's Australia I worry about, and other places like the first time I even knew about like air quality and all these wildfires, and I've really lived a sheltered life, honestly. In England, we've got nothing that dangerous. I always think that it must be one of the safest places to live. No earthquakes, no crocodiles, no sharks. There's nothing. What's going to kill you here? Nothing. It's so like tame. And we went to Bend and we were training with Paula and Chelsea Burns. We were all there. And they had real bad fires constantly. And it had come into Bend. And it was horrendous. Like, I tried to go for a run. It's awful. Literally, your throat burns, because you're breathing in the smoke. And you just have
Yeah.
to stay indoors. And then Chelsea's dad was showing me they lived in Seattle, and he was showing me on like a map of all the fires that were on currently in the US. It was unbelievable. I was just like, this is mental. They're just constantly burning. It's just normal. They're just burning away them. It was crazy. And
Yeah.
now it's becoming closer to home, isn't it?
Yeah. It really is.
But we never have to worry about air quality. Have you ever thought about? They have apps for it. Never even thought
No.
about, oh God, what's the air quality like? Wouldn't
Yeah,
cross
but
our minds.
interestingly, with the fires in Bordeaux, I've got an athlete that lives in Mallorca, and they've got all the smoke from those fires, and
Have they, yeah.
there's no kind of like mechanism in place at the moment to assess air quality. But obviously, if you're out in it training all the time, it's really not good for your lungs. But I can
No.
foresee, that's the future, isn't it? And
Yeah.
yeah, you'll be
And then
spending
once
your
it
summers
comes,
indoors.
yeah, it just settles and it doesn't, yeah, it's mad. And it's just a really weird experience. Like the whole atmosphere changes, it's like glowing. It was just really
Mm,
bizarre. They were shutting restaurants and stuff, that you sit outside. You wouldn't sit outside because of it. And they'd shut the place, like, yeah, where to eat. Crazy. But yeah, anyway. What else you got to chat
well,
about?
very uplifting this week.
Gotta hate him. The earth's burning. Fuming about it. Did you watch Team 100 London then? Because I was getting right excited because there were loads of stuff on social media. It's back on the BBC. Turns out it was bloody iPlayer. Wasn't even on Red Button. What a letdown. That is not classed as the BBC. I'm sorry.
It doesn't meet criteria if it's not on
No.
Channel One.
Yeah, it used to be on like literally on channel 1 or 2.
Mm,
So that's a cop out.
yeah,
But anyway, it was good that it were on because I did watch it. Did you?
I watched it. Although I watched it on Triathlon Live because I was in France.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was. I found it interesting, and I've had people go and watch like we're watching it live as well. I think kind of as we predicted, visually it didn't come across great in terms of like the racing venue. I've never seen so many
No.
orange cones and all the rest of it.
I
But
know.
the racing, particularly the women's side, was really exciting and good. Um, but I do think like knowing a bit of the background of the preparations the athletes were allowed, the crash in the men's race was really significant, and the timing of it, and that was a lot of a lot of it was down to the fact that they weren't able to recce that part of the course ahead of time, so they were going into that corner blind, which I
Oh,
think
really?
is
So why was that?
the restrictions on the XL, and they were kind of shown a map, but they thought it would be 2 lanes wide, and it ended up being 1 lane wide and coned off. So athletes came flying around the corner thinking they had a wide, double the size road that they did, and ended up in the cones. So I think that's particularly in the men's race where it's big packs. It's it's just not prioritizing like athlete safety.
But why were the men and the women's recce's separate? They normally do it
They
together.
weren't. No one got to see it.
Oh, okay, so the women didn't either.
No.
But they were all right, Bex.
Well, that's because they're
Yeah,
class
they're
above
just bigger
the rest,
packs.
isn't it?
But they're in bigger packs, I know what you mean. But there was loads of cones as well, which it's bizarre because it should flow enough to not need. They're really bad because they're not eyesight, are they?
Mm.
So if you're coming round, you're looking further ahead, or you should be looking further ahead. You're not looking
Yeah.
down, and they're quite small, aren't they? So it was sad to see Tilly crash, and because I presume she's probably on a limit as well, riding with Nib, and it's hard when you're tired as well to focus. And then she came around corner
Yeah.
and just. But thankfully, she seems like she's all right. But Nib did well as well. She hung
Your
on that run
prediction.
as well. Huh?
Your prediction that was you said last week if she starts swimming at the front and going off the front, then the dynamics changed, and then she goes to London, and lo and behold, off she goes.
And in a sprint, put that in a standard.
Yeah, and
Game
on that
over.
course as well. I remember, like, I chatted with Harry before the race, obviously, and I was looking at the course. I was thinking, like, to get a breakaway on this course, it's highly unlikely. And then off she goes, does it?
Yeah, and like I said, you put that twice over in a standard distance, then that time's going to go out even further. So yeah, she did very well, and she swam very well. So yeah, kudos. And it was exciting.
Yeah.
She did well as well. She looked awful, the run. I just thought, God, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. That 5K is brutal.
Just a sprint, isn't it?
Yeah.
All out sprint.
Yeah. But it was good. Hopefully there's talk of Canary Wharf next time rather than the EXL.
I think we could do better. I think there's better venues.
Agreed. I think there is. Also the France. Do you see any of that? Finish.
I didn't. No, but yeah, tell me more, because I missed it all. That.
Well, just on the last day, the Champs-Élysées. No, they've changed the route though. So I think for the last 2 or 3 years, now it's a bit hillier, which is quite exciting. And usually there's never a breakaway. They always try and break away, obviously, but it's usually a sprint. Hence why, like, Cavendish always wins it, or it's normally a sprinter's day. And this nearly turned out to be a sprinter's day, but Evenepoel and Pogacar got in a break, and Pogacar had been getting in nearly every break, so he'll have been knackered. But because of the climb, I think it helps. Like, they gain an advantage from it. So anyway, the breaks behind normally time it, so they'll know what the gap is and what speed they have to ride, etc., to get the break. It's like quite, because they have team radios and stuff, don't they? But coming into like the last K to go, they were still not being caught. And I think Pogacar started to die, so Evenepoel went on his own, and he were literally hammering it, and it were coming, and the sprinters were coming behind him. Sprinters started to sprint, and Evenepoel just got it on the line, and it was funny because his teammate came second, but at the time it looked like he'd pipped him, and I was like, no way, he can't have done that. Anyway, it turns out he didn't, and he were absolutely screwed at the end as well, because he's known for like pushing himself. But it's very exciting, and I should have found out or checked the facts on how often that's happened. A breakaway's actually won the race.
I would have said like a handful of times through history. It's highly unlikely, isn't it? And I also don't, like, those guys. Where do they get their energy from? At that stage,
yeah. It happens even with, like, I remember when Wiggins were winning and he were leading out at Cav. You know, like, you'd think they'd be wrecked, wouldn't you? But I think maybe just the adrenaline or the drugs, I'm not sure. Really helps.
Well, it's funny because I watched an interview with Pidcock, and obviously he got top 10 in the GC, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he was a broken man. Like, he looked exactly how you'd want someone finishing the Tour de France to look. Like, absolutely, is shell of a human being. So fair play to Pidcock.
I saw him after one of the stages, maybe 2 days before, and you know when he just sat there just staring like that, and I just thought, been there. You know, you just think just everything's going on around you, but you're just like, I cannot do anything. It's just seeing that video of him, I just thought, God, I know what that feels like. It's so bizarre. But going on to what we talked about drug testing last week, I was talking to Holland, and she said his peptides
that they're testing for.
Yeah, so 'cause it goes out your system. They can say even like between an hour, no, even like minutes, I think, to 4 hours. It can be out of your system. So if they're taking it
Interesting.
like 11 o'clock after the stage, it can be out of the system
Mm.
by the morning. That's why they try to get them. And also,
If, yeah.
if you microdose it as well, because I were thinking, so I researched, because if they're on peptides, you would think there is ways of detecting it with your blood passport, because obviously
Mm-hmm.
every athlete that's on anti-doping, usually you get tested either blood and urine, and it's normally for the test of the race or the test of the race and blood passport. So there's two different
Mm-hmm.
tests they can do. So usually when you, like if I got tested tonight or whatever, they usually take 2 lots of blood for
Mm-hmm.
to check both things. Anyway, I was researching it because I thought, well, how is it not detected in the blood passport? Which is quite
Mm.
obvious, really, because they're microdosing it. So then
Yeah.
it won't change within the range of your normal limits because it's only a small amount over a long period. But it makes
Interesting.
me think more that they definitely are doing it, because I think, like we said the other week, about when the drug testers know they're doing it, but they can't
Mm-hmm.
prove it because if the blood passport's not changing enough, that's not enough evidence to say the doping. But they'll have a marker against the name saying something's happening, but we don't know what. Let's test them at 2 in the morning.
Well, interestingly, I was listening to a podcast snippet from who's the South African guy that does quite a lot in this space. He's a sports journalist. I forget his name. But he was commenting upon the middle of the night testing, and he essentially said that in the laws of WADA, you cannot test outside the hours of, I think it's 11 a.m. and
Yeah,
11 p.m. and 6 a.m.
yeah,
unless you have significant evidence
yeah,
to do so. So anybody having a test at 2 a.m., you already know that there is a backlog of evidence that is given like validation to anti-doping to go and test.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, obviously you're innocent until proven guilty, but yeah, I think like that's the only option they have if that's the measures that the athletes are taking. And that's what they suspect they're doing. So yeah, it's a bit
The fun,
crazy to be honest.
the funny thing is, peptides are used amongst young lads all the time, in certainly in the UK. You know, a bit
Really?
like a bit like the weight loss drug. It's a bit like that around. I'm not going to say where, but it's quite well used because it's similar sort of thing. You can recover quickly from whatever you're doing in the gym. You strip fat and you're not as hungry, because I always wondered why the weight loss drugs are not banned.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose it works a bit different, because for endurance athletes to be on the weight loss drug, I don't think is actually an advantage other than losing a bit of weight, but actually you are underfueled. So then
Yeah,
eventually it's not going to be an advantage. It might be at first, but eventually you're not, because you're not fueling, you're
yeah,
not sleeping, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
Whereas peptides are slightly different out there. But a lot of like younger lads that are gym goers are like basically transforming their lives on it.
That's
But
crazy. I
yeah,
had no
it's quite a
idea
big,
until you
yeah.
mentioned no idea.
Well, I knew about peptides through that rather than through um endurance sport, until Vic said. We're very live a sheltered life, like I said. We're not in it, are we? We're not on the ball. But I reckon they've been doing it for ages. Imagine how far in advance they've been doing it.
It breaks my heart because you see, like, if you come back to that analogy of like Pidcock finishing top 10 being a shell of a human being, I just look at people that are choosing to do it clean and are doing it, you know, with morals and ethics, and just you continue to be like robbed from the work that you've put in. It's
like Waitman with the 1500 at London. I think she's up to
mm,
like 4th or something. I think she finished like 9th. I don't know it's something ridiculous. But
yeah,
since London, obviously we had the Russia as well, but they've all tested positive since then. Loads and loads of them. So like majority of the people she raced against were all doping, and that's awful. That she could have come 4th. It makes a big difference, doesn't it? It's just crazy. But honestly, for the people that think that cycling's clean is beyond me. It's absolutely not. I'd put the new house on it.
Would you go as far as to say it's never been clean?
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon so, yeah. Unfortunately, there's too many people going for the same thing and a lot of money.
Yeah. And also the high demands of the sport, what it physically requires year in, year out.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
grueling.
Exactly, and that's the thing, isn't it? But the thing is, the reason they banned stuff most of the time is for the health reasons as well. So they're all just like, they'll all be bloody having heart attacks in the 40s. It's crazy what people do though, isn't it? Like back in the day when Tyler Hamilton got done for having someone else's blood in his system when he got tested. I mean, what is that about? Can you imagine getting tested and be like, hang on a minute, it's not even your blood, mate. But like just putting how risky that is, knowing like the blood could be, I don't know, lukewarm, slightly off. And then you just pumping it back into your body just for a cycling race.
Yeah,
But the
it's
problem is
mad.
there's so much money on the line, isn't there? That's always the issue.
Yeah, yeah, it's certainly not a world that I can relate to. I find it bonkers, but
Same.
yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Should we go on to sleep? We've banged on for 15 minutes again. We've had loads and loads of people send us messages as well, so thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
sleep is
I
a
think
big
it's
topic.
hit a nerve, hasn't it? And I'm guessing with the fact that it's been pretty warm and therefore most people's sleep has been compromised through that. But generally, there's been it's been, I guess, one of our more popular response topics is like sleep. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. I guess to start with, where do you sit with sleep? And where have you sat with sleep through your career? Are you a good sleeper or rubbish?
Yeah, I would say a good sleeper. Certainly when I was training, I'd be like lights out. So I never ever had an issue sleeping at night unless I had reflux. And then I never napped though. So I was always tired. So that's why John always says he'll put it on my grave, because that's how I always said I was tired. And I never napped because I hated waking up from naps, for one, feeling rough. 2, I felt like I was missing out on life, or there's something really exciting was going to happen. And it sped up my recovery in time between sessions, which I hated. I hated it coming quickly. Like waking up from a nap on a Thursday when you feel rough and you think, right, I've got to do a threshold bike session now. No, thank you. Do you know what I mean? No. So, and then I also think you get in, sometimes if you nap, you can get in a vicious cycle that if you're a napper, then you have to nap because then you go to bed late and then you're getting up and then you're tired, so you have to nap. So I didn't want to get in that cycle, which is totally not very good for performance. And then race-wise, always slept before the race, never had an issue. And after, really bad, usually, for like 2 days. Yeah, what about you?
That's glad the whistle stopped tour. Yeah,
I'm a sloth.
yeah, I am. Yeah, I'll tell you, generally pretty good with sleep, and always have been. Although I have definitely noticed changes in sleep pattern, and yeah, I think interestingly, when I was coaching from a federation standpoint, yeah, as you'll know from being an athlete, you're up early for a lot of mornings in a week. And so when I look back on my federation work, I was probably a combination of federation work and then also being an athlete myself. I probably spent 20 years where the majority of my time I was getting up anywhere between 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning as a standard. And I kind of got to the point where I didn't need an alarm at that point. Like I would just
Oh,
be in a
really?
rhythm of at that time. Yeah.
Mm.
But I was also a big napper, and I still nap to this day, even though I don't, I don't have the early starts in the same way. But I love nothing more than a 15-minute just power nap. And I don't, I can be anywhere, do it anywhere, just lights out, and then wake back up, and it's literally like a turbo boost. I love
That's
it.
really
I,
impressive, that.
I think way more clearly and way more switched on than if I try and fight just staying awake.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Go on, what's your butt?
I was just going to say, I don't think I ever get to the point where I'm like, oh, that tired during the day. You've got into the river. So that's probably why I don't nap. But if I were like that, I would definitely nap. If I were that tired, I wouldn't be fighting it. But the impressive thing is that I would do that and wake up and think, 6 o'clock, I'm meant to pick Fred up at 4. Do you know, like, that's what had happened in my life, whereas you're waking up after 10, 15 minutes. I'm sure it was Holland. I'm speaking about her all the time on this podcast now. I'm sure she was a good napper, but she also did it as a dissertation at university about napping and sleep.
I
Should
think
have got her on.
I think
Sleep expert.
yeah, the subject of sleep is so um like under research. And you know, you spend half your life sleeping pretty much,
Yeah.
and like how much time and attention do most people give to it? And when you do give it time and attention, it's like, how do you do that in a way that doesn't stress you out, because you then realize that either your sleep's not great or you're trying to improve it, and then that makes it not great. Like, I think it's such a fine balance. But I will say with athletes, what I've noticed interestingly is, I don't know if you experience this, when they're in heavy training blocks where there's a lot demanded of them, you would assume that therefore sleep is really good because you're tired. And I often find that in those periods of times, it's almost like they get overtired, and then their sleep quality deteriorates through that as well. And so
Mm,
it's like a double whammy. You're ultra tired from training, and then you can't sleep. You're like
mm,
overstimulated.
mm. I mean, I never got that, but I can imagine it's like having a child. That's what happens, isn't it? It's funny because sleep, dealing with toddlers and sleep, not so much toddlers now is much better, but sleep and babies, it's just like a minefield. But some of that will apply to adults, but probably not as much. But I can imagine that does happen if you're overstimulated, and then you think, God, that's basically what happens after races usually, isn't it? You're either
Mm,
overstimulated, you're overtired, and there's caffeine as well involved, and you just cannot switch
mm,
off. And I've had it
yeah.
before a few times, mainly as I got older and I travelled, like last year, I travelled a lot abroad, and time differences. I had a nightmare. Like in Singapore, pretty much the whole time I was there, I never slept. And all you think about is sleep, because you're like, how do I get to sleep? Like, can I sleep now? Why am I not sleeping? What can I do? Shall I count sheep? And then it's worse because then all you're doing is thinking. And then you just think, how do I normally fall to sleep? What do I normally think about? And then you're thinking about that. And then you're like, I'm still awake. This is a nightmare. So, but that's only happened to me with jet lag. So if that was a daily thing, it would drive me insane. People that struggle with sleep, I really feel for you, because it's like time goes so slow as well, doesn't it?
Well, we definitely, that was our most overwhelming response. Are you ready for this? So, Paddy Lamley, I don't get enough of it, and he's meaning sleep. Martin Owen 32, what sleep question mark? Regularly 5 hours, not exactly through choice, but
Oh,
necessity.
5.
Uh,
Wow.
Donovan, I am rower. It just said awful. Sleep is awful. So I think we're going to say that it's pretty common that people struggle
Yeah, I bet
with
it is.
sleep.
Yeah. And it'll
Um,
certainly affect
so
their mentality as well, won't it, through the day? But at the same time, I think there is people that can function on less sleep than others. Like if John doesn't sleep,
I would agree.
you know, he struggles. Whereas I take the hicks, I can function more with it. So there's ups and downs, but there's definitely people that struggle with sleep, and it must be really quite. It must be a tough.
Yeah, what you're basically describing is that you're a more superior human being than John. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm the laziest human ever at the minute. That's how I feel. I am literally a sloth. Like
I
John will
don't
get up
think
with
so.
Fred, and I'm like getting up at 10 to 8, just like thinking not because I've woke up, because I think I better get up, set an alarm. I'm that lazy, but I mean that is probably a bit of the baby as well.
I was going to say, you
So
do have a very valid reason.
have we had anybody with positive sleep or just negative?
Well, we've got a few people that are joining me in the napping club. So Judith has written in and said, love the podcast, keeps me company on long drives and long runs. Thanks, Judith. She said,
Cheers.
you asked about napping, and I'm a huge believer in the power of a nap. Our club has track sessions on a Monday, which are great, but by the time I get home, showered and eat dinner, it's 9 p.m. I'm up at 6:15 every day for work, so struggle with sessions that seem to make me get to bed late. So I nap. I have a proper nap for about 30 minutes, get into bed, set an alarm. Sometimes I wake up and feel a bit groggy, but overall, I think it works. I feel fresher for the next day. So much so that I've started swimming before work on a Tuesday as I'm trying to squeeze more training in. So she's a club napper, as is E-Spirit Zen Allison, who says nap really helps to recharge, especially if you're a light sleeper, which is interesting. She's basically saying if you struggle with sleep on an evening, like you're a light sleeper through the night, a nap through the day can help. Salty Fish says, napping is my favourite part of training. The body is improving and I don't even have to do anything.
That's true. That is true. It's very underutilized, I think. And it's really boring answer. It's like saying, what's the best way to get fit? Consistency. Same. What's the best recovery? Sleep. It's really boring answering it, but it's really true.
Do you not think though that that's part sleep when you really look at the evidence and go, what improves sleep? It's the most basic and boring of things that often people will look at it and go, it's not appealing. I'd much rather buy a watch that tells me I'm sleeping badly.
Absolutely. Don't go on your phone before bed. Don't have any blue lights. I just think, nah. There's not many people that are doing that. I mean, I literally am on my phone and I think, right, I better go to bed, put the phone down and go to sleep. But I know that that's not healthy. And I know that somebody would tell me and be like, your sleep hygiene. But again, if the other option is to just do, I don't know, meditation or whatever, it's just really not my thing. Not that I'm very lucky that I don't have to, because I think people that do struggle with sleep do have to think about that, and that's annoying for them because they have to deal with it and try and help themselves. But to me, having to do that and put my phone away for the last hour and, I don't know, do headspace or meditation before bed, I just think, Jesus, no. Boring.
I have had athletes in the past who have really struggled with like cycles of insomnia. So it's not a permanent thing, but when they get stuck in a cycle, what I find is it's often not like one technique that you refer back to each time. It's more finding a way to break that cycle of bad sleep. And therefore they've used a range of different techniques, whether that be like literally setting up the sleep environment so it's a bit better, using in some cases like antihistamines, which is a pretty extreme way to go, but something which just helps you off.
I tried it on flights.
Yeah, and it does work, but essentially I think if you can break the cycle and just get a few good night's sleeps banked, then you then kind of set yourself up. Whereas if you're I really notice with athletes that going through a really bad patch, breaking the momentum of that bad patch is like almost harder than just then getting into a good cycle. It's like, how do you break that momentum? We had a question around magnesium. Steve Dawes messaged and said, does magnesium help sleep / recovery for athletes? And it is quite a popular supplements that is often referenced for sleep. Have you ever taken it or experienced it at all?
Yeah, I have taken it. Yeah, because I was actually low in magnesium at one point. So I used to take the magnesium spray, which I hated because if you were low in magnesium and you use the spray, it's really itchy. It's like the worst thing ever. So you just spray it and then you're like, it's actually really sore. But actually, I've been more aware of it through, like, my auntie uses it, my godfather uses it, and my mum, I think my mum uses it, but they all swear by it. Literally, I started taking magnesium and I sleep all the way through now. So not so much as performance, although I did do it. And magnesium baths are big things out there. They tell you to get magnesium baths. Have you experienced magnesium baths? Yes, so magnesium salts in your bath and stuff like that. So
no, I haven't.
Not done it.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know if there must be evidence for it, but even just in my own little survey, I would say yes.
Yeah, I would agree. I've tried magnesium cream, and I'm with you. It's like sets your skin on fire when you use it. It's awful. It's like
I
torture.
would take it in tablet form if I could. Or when I'm not pregnant, I might do, but I would rather do that because the spray and stuff is awful. But it's the best way to absorb. I think that's why.
Yeah, and I think from everything I've read around magnesium is it does help, and it can help with relaxation and muscle cramps and things like that. But it only helps really if you're deficient in it. So if you're not experiencing kind of poor sleep or muscle cramps and that type of stuff, and you take magnesium, you're unlikely to benefit from it. So it's not just a one size fits all from that standpoint.
But also you might not know because like I slept all the time and I was low in magnesium. What are the other side effects?
The other symptoms, restless legs is another one, extreme fatigue, muscle cramps and poor sleep are the main kind of symptoms of low magnesium.
Who knows? I might have got cramp probably. I should be taking it now, I bet, because I bloody get cramp every night. Doing maiden.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. I bet I am low. I'm low in iron as well. That's one thing that baby's stripped from me. Anemic. That's why I'm like a sloth. It's not me, it's my iron. I were going to say, I was going to interject earlier about you a lot, you and Judith and that. Having naps through day, I bet everyone's like, what jobs do these two do? Chance would be a fine thing.
Do you know what though? If I was an employee and I had an office, I would genuinely put sleep pods in for people to go and use during the day. Because I think if you can power nap, I know the power that gives me. Like, I would want my workforce just having the opportunity to be topped back up again. Because when I get to 2:00 in the afternoon and I get a sugar loaf from my lunch, I'm good for nothing. Productivity is going down. So,
to be fair, and Judith only has half an hour, so that's probably a lunch break. Just like that, Judith, exactly. I'm not here. She's gone. Any other insightful things? Has anyone given us more tips? So there's magnesium, sleep health.
Someone has written in, and I'll be honest, I've not really heard much about this, so I had to do a bit of Googling. Fit Girl for Rhinos has written in and said, is it vagal or vagal nerve simulation? Which I didn't really know much about, but from what Claude, my mate Claude, has said, it said that it aims to increase parasympathetic activity and reduce sympathetic, i.e. fight or flight activation. So a genuine and incredibly important part of the nervous system. Medical vagus, I think it is, nerve simulation is an established treatment for epilepsy and depression. The non-invasive stimulation. So I think there's invasive stimulation and non-invasive, which I think is what this athlete was referring to, is used for sleep, anxiety, and stress. And it's an exciting area of research, but there isn't much research on it or depth of research on it. So I don't really know too much about it. And I'd be certainly interested if more, if people have used it. But at the moment, I'd say the majority of research points towards just establishing like good daily routines, good sleep habits, slow breathing and stress management is your most effective ways to manage sleep.
Mm.
We have had quite a few people write in about wearables though, which
Which
where
we've
would you
discussed.
sit? Yeah, with wearables.
Well, I would say we've discussed it a lot, haven't we? I feel like we've discussed it in nearly every other podcast, but to me, I think it's not a good idea to wear them because the amount of times I've said it a million times that John will say, "I didn't sleep well last night." Watch says, but he if he hadn't have had a watch, he would have slept fine because he'd slept literally all the way through. But he's
Mm.
saying he didn't, and then it affects what he thinks about his sleep. He's like, "I'm tired because the watch says I'm tired." So I think it can play with your mind a bit, and then people become obsessed with it, and they're looking into it a lot. And the amount of times I'd had mine on before, and I'd been awake all night, and it thinks I'm not because my heart rate's low or whatever. So I don't know. Don't know. I think don't wear them.
Yeah.
That's what I think. What about you?
Mm, I have athletes that wear them and find it useful to track. So I think they can be useful at points, but then if it becomes like an over focus or too much of a um I guess like a reliance on it, then I think the balance kind of tips. I find with all the kind of tech side of things, whether that be wearable sleep detectors or HRV monitors or uh like like AI training type tools, anything which is giving you kind of a measure of like internally how things are feeling, and then tells you almost like tells you how you should be feeling based on those metrics. I just find that it tries to oversimplify what even now with the best medical experts in the world can't fully understand. Like, you know,
Mm,
a bad night's sleep, yes, you may wake up and go, well, I need to adjust training today. Equally, you may wake up and go and deliver the best training session of your life. And no wearable tech can predict like that. That's almost like the speciality of the human body. It's way more complex than trying to define, like put a definition on one thing as to whether you should train or not, or ease a session back or not. I just find it, I don't trust it.
no. And I think it, like you said, it depends on the athlete and the person, doesn't it? But I didn't even train with heart rate when I was an athlete. So, whereas a lot of people do, and it's a useful tool to use, but I never, I don't know, I just prefer to just feel, I just knew how I'd feel in the effort and sessions and stuff that I didn't really need to know my heart rate, which was always a bit of an issue when I went on to hot races because I was like, I'm just guessing what the heart rate should be. Um, so it just depends, doesn't it? And like I said, as long as it doesn't spiral and affect you too much, then because I do think athletes might start changing the way they train and not knowing as much about themselves because they're getting told that they've had a bad sleep. So they go into a session negatively thinking, oh, I feel bad because I've not slept. Whereas if they'd have never known that, they probably would have just cracked on and had a fine session, like you said. So, yeah,
And
tricky,
there's
but
so
I
much,
would say sack them off.
yeah, and then there's so much research around the power of the mind in those situations. You know, you look at control groups where they're going in to do a session and one of them's given a high carb drink and the other one's given a low carb drink but told it's a high carb drink,
Yeah.
and you know they perform equally. There are so many examples, or they're both in really hot conditions and one control group's told that it's way hotter than it is and one control group's told that it's cooler than it is, and the ones that are told it's cooler perform better. I think how
Mm.
your mindset is is like fundamental to all of it, and you can override a lot of things through just how you choose to think about scenarios. I think that's undervalued or becoming more and more undervalued.
Yeah, the placebo effects and all that. But I think that's why, as an athlete, you have to learn your mentality as well, because obviously every athlete's completely different. If you had an athlete that was running and they were in the last 10K of the race, and then I said something like, no one's behind you, you've got loads of time, enjoy it, you'll nail it. And that could get someone really positive. Or if I said, they're all chasing, your gap's this, blah, 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 then that could also affect someone different. So you have to judge the athlete and know how they work mentally for them to give them cues. And it's similar in the mindset of the race. Like, there'll be some athletes that like to be at the front of the race, winning, and have everyone chasing them, and that pushes them on. Or it might be that you're at the front, you're getting chased down, and you think, I'm getting chased down, I'm panicking, and then they get caught because they're negative about it. But it depends on what type of athlete you are. So trying to figure out what gets you going mentally is such a vital thing to do. And I think that's why people like Alistair are really successful, because they figure out that easily and that's how they get angry and they get aggressive he did. And it actually spurred him on. Whereas if people were pissing me off, I'd just be like, oh, and it affects me. I'd get annoyed, and it wouldn't be a positive for me. It'd actually be a negative, and I wouldn't perform very well like that. So yeah, interesting. But I think just figuring out how you work mentally is really important, but also very difficult. And overriding it is extremely difficult.
Yeah, but I was following a sports psych on social media, actually. He'd be a really good guest to get on, actually. And he was breaking down he essentially exactly what you've described there of people aren't just good at self-regulation. You don't just appear one day and be great at how you think or the ability to regulate emotion in high pressure situations. It's something which is practiced and rehearsed frequently. And you'll get some people that are more natural at practicing and rehearsing in everyday situations that kind of do it consciously or subconsciously and evolve that way of thinking. And you get other people that perhaps need a few more prompts. But the point being, nobody just arrives at being great at problem solving and managing and regulating themselves. You have to, and I'd say it kind of extends into sleep. Like, if you're someone that struggles with sleep, whether that be anxiety driven, which it often is, or stress driven, or all of those things, I would be looking at, well, how are you managing stress within your day-to-day life? How are you managing anxiety within your day-to-day life? What are you learning about yourself? And you need to go probably a bit deeper.
Agreed.
Interestingly, John Stark Fangirl wrote and said, sleep habits seem to be genetic. My father is an easy sleeper, and so am I. Which I was like, interesting. Is that true? Like, are you genetically predisposed by your parents as to whether you're a good sleeper or not? And I know from my end, both my parents are really good sleepers, so that would tie in. What about your end?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's got a bit of a condition, so he sleeps a lot, but they do. Yeah. So I think there is probably genetics, because I mean, Christ, we get all sorts from our parents, don't we? So it wouldn't surprise me that we would get sleep and personality and everything. It's all bloody genetic, isn't it? So yes, I would say with no evidence that it is a thing. Personally.
Well, yeah, I'd agree. I think there probably is there is a genetic element, of course there is. But I'd also say it can be influenced by external factors as well.
Of course it can. People that drink a lot as well, they don't get great sleep. It gets you off to sleep marvellous. And then you wake up at like 2:00 and you're like, oh no.
The other big one, speaking of drinking, I think a lot of people underestimate is caffeine. And caffeine consumption through like a lot of people will say, oh, I don't drink caffeine past 2 p.m. And caffeine is so potent and has such a strong presence in the bloodstream and is active in the bloodstream for way longer than people perceive. I think if you're waiting till 2 o'clock, that's definitely still keeping you awake. If you're a responder,
If you're a
I mean, it's
responder,
not
as
my
we say,
problem, as
I
we know.
am not. Yeah, it depends, doesn't it? But if you are a responder, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's something to consider. There is loads of people that do that, don't they? Like, I can't have a coffee past 11 o'clock. Which is weird to me because I think, God, I'd drink it all day and it wouldn't even affect me. But it just shows you we're all different.
Anyway, speaking of which, it's 9:05 in the evening and we've got sleep to be banking. So
well, I know I've got stuff to be doing as well. John's just got back actually. This is great timing. So I'll see you then. I'll be even more stressed
I'll
by
see
then.
you then. Yeah, it'll be literally like day before the move, won't it?
You probably will. Can't do it today. That's the thing. FYI, guys, there might be a week off because I might have no Wi-Fi.
Not because she's busy moving house or anything, just the Wi-Fi's the limiting
Yeah,
factor.
well, new house. Yeah, won't have any Wi-Fi, will I? So anyway, it might not happen yet. Fingers crossed. See you next week.
See you next week.